It all began with a choice that would change the course of 3 lives forever. If you've ever watched a family tear itself apart over love, distance, and misunderstanding, this story will hit home. Before we start, don't forget to tap the like button. It really helps more people find stories like this. And if you enjoy true emotional journeys, subscribe so you won't miss the next chapters of this one. Now, let's begin. For years, Lena Moore believed she had already lived through the worst pain life could offer. 6 years earlier, she lost her husband, Tom, in a sudden motorcycle accident that shattered her world. There were nights when she didn't think she'd ever smile again. But time, as cruel as it can be, also has a strange way of stitching broken hearts back together. Year after Tom's death, Lena met David Carter, a quiet, dependable man with kind eyes and a deep laugh that seemed to fill the empty spaces in her house. They met through work, collaborating on a joint project between their companies. What started as polite professionalism slowly grew into long, late-night calls, and eventually, something more. There was only one problem. They lived in different states, 12 hours apart. Every month, one of them would board a commuter flight, carrying a small suitcase and a big smile. Their weekends together felt like stolen pieces of paradise. Too short, too perfect, always ending too soon. Lena never complained. She'd already learned how fragile life could be. And this love, though complicated, made her feel alive again. David had a 16-year-old son named Ethan from a previous relationship. From the very first day Lena met him, she saw a spark. Smart, polite, a bit shy, but curious. Unlike many teenagers, Ethan didn't show resentment or distance. Instead, he smiled when his father smiled. He wanted his dad to be happy, but not everyone shared his attitude. David's ex, Melissa, was another story. Lena had only met her a few times, and each meeting had left a bitter taste. Melissa was sharp-tongued, always defensive, and seemed to treat Lena's very existence as an insult. She had once told Lena, through gritted teeth, "You'll never understand what it's like to be replaced." Lena didn't respond. She never did. But inside she felt a chill. Melissa had accused her of chasing David for his money, even spreading rumors online. Once, she left angry messages under Lena's photos, calling her a homewrecker. Lena had blocked her on every platform, but it didn't stop the hostility. When David proposed to Lena last year, things exploded. Melissa, furious, filed for full custody of Ethan. But her plan backfired spectacularly. Ethan refused to live with her. He went to his court-appointed guardian and said he wanted to stay with his dad. The judge reviewed months of records, texts, and phone logs. Everything showed that David had been the stable parent, the calm one. Melissa, on the other hand, had been combative and unpredictable. In the end, the court reduced her custody rights. Ethan was polite but firm. He told his mother he'd visit her a few hours on Saturdays, and that was it. She brought up his dad or started a fight, he'd walk away. He even kept a rule for himself. If she called and started guilt-tripping, he'd hang up. Through it all, Lena tried to stay neutral. "This is between David and Melissa," she told herself. "My job is just to support him and be kind to Ethan." And that's what she did. Quietly, patiently, without trying to take anyone's place. Then, a twist of fate changed everything. David received the job offer he'd been waiting for, a transfer that would allow him to finally live near Lena, full-time. It was a dream come true. They could build a home together instead of living through screens and suitcases. But there was one question left unanswered. What about Ethan? David sat his son down one evening. The light from the sunset cut across their small kitchen, and Lena watched from the doorway, silent. "Buddy," David said softly, "you've got a few choices. You can stay here with your mom or with Aunt Claire if you'd rather finish the school year with your friends. Or you can come with me, with us." Ethan didn't even hesitate. "I want to come with you, Dad." Lena's heart skipped a beat. She knew what that decision meant. The end of any illusion Melissa had that she could rebuild what was long broken. Ethan wasn't impulsive. He'd already researched the area where Lena lived. There was a high-ranked STEM school nearby, and they were even willing to accept a mid-year transfer as everything seemed perfect. Until Melissa found out. The messages started pouring in. First to David, then to Lena. Angry emails, emotional voice notes, and dozens of social media messages from fake accounts. "You're stealing my son," one read. Another said, "If you really loved that boy, you'd move here instead of tearing him away." Lena didn't answer. She'd learned silence was sometimes louder than any words. But Melissa wasn't the only one upset. When Lena confided in her own mother about the situation, she expected comfort, understanding. Instead, her mother surprised her completely. "Sweetheart," she said carefully, "I think Melissa has a point." Lena blinked in disbelief. "A point? Mom, she's been harassing me for months." Her mother sighed. "I'm not saying she's right to act that way, but think about it. Her son's moving 12 hours away. You'd feel heartbroken too. Maybe you and David could consider moving closer, at least for a while." Lena felt her stomach twist. Her mother, of all people, was siding with the woman who had made her life miserable. "I can't just pack up everything, Mom. My home is here, my work, my life. This town is my home." But her mother shook her head. "Sometimes love means compromise." Those words echoed in Lena's mind for days. Was she being selfish for wanting to stay where she was? Was she really standing in the way of a mother and her child? No matter how she turned it around, she couldn't ignore one fact. Ethan had chosen this. He wasn't being forced. He wasn't a child who didn't know better. He was 16, smart, and painfully aware of his mother's behavior. Still, the guilt lingered. Every time her phone buzzed with a new hateful message, her confidence cracked a little more. As December approached, their planned moving date, tension filled the air like static. David tried to stay calm, reminding her that the judge had approved everything. Every email, every text, every step had been documented. They'd followed every rule. But Melissa wouldn't stop. She started showing up at Ethan's school, crying to teachers, accusing David of brainwashing him. She called Lena's office pretending to be a client, just to leave a voicemail that said, "You'll regret this." One night, after another wave of hateful messages, Lena sat in the dark living room, her phone in her hands. David came in quietly, placing a cup of tea beside her. "She won't change, Lena," he said gently. "You've done nothing wrong." "I know," she whispered. "But why does it still hurt so much?" He reached for her hand. "Because you care. That's what makes you different from her." Those words gave her strength, at least for a while. The night before they left for their new home, Ethan knocked on Lena's door. She was packing some last-minute things when he said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a sec?" "Of course," she smiled. "What's up?" He hesitated, then said softly, "Thank you for letting me live with you guys. I know this hasn't been easy, but I really want this. I need a fresh start." Lena's throat tightened. "You don't have to thank me, Ethan. We're happy to have you." He smiled, relief flooding his face. But then he looked down at the floor and whispered, Mom called again today. She said if I leave, she'll never forgive me. Lena froze. What did you say? I told her that's her choice, not mine. For the first time, Lena saw not just a boy, but a young man standing before her, hurt, brave, and determined to choose peace over chaos. That night, she couldn't sleep. Part of her felt proud. Another part felt terrified. What if Melissa showed up? What if she tried to stop them? As the morning sun rose, the three of them loaded their car boxes, filled the back seat. Laughter masked the nerves. And Lena caught a glimpse of her reflection in the car window. She looked different. Older, yes, but stronger. As they drove away, leaving behind the city that held so many arguments, court hearings, and tears, Lena thought she saw a figure in the distance by the road. For a moment, she thought it was Melissa. But when she blinked, there was no one there, just an empty street and a new beginning waiting 12 hours away. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't mean pleasing everyone. It means listening, truly listening, to the hearts of those who need peace the most. And sometimes love means standing firm, even when the world tells you to move. For a while, everything seemed peaceful. Too peaceful. The first few weeks after the move felt like a dream. The new town was quiet, with tree-lined streets and neighbors who waved every morning Lena's house. Now, their house smelled of fresh paint and new beginnings. Ethan settled into his new school surprisingly fast. He joined the robotics club, made a few friends, and spent hours tinkering in the garage with wires and small circuits Lena would often peek in and see him smiling, his headphones on, completely lost in his world. David seemed lighter too. The tension that used to live behind his eyes had faded. He'd come home from work whistling, wrap his arms around Lena and say, "Feels like we finally made it, doesn't it?" And for a while, it really did. But peace in this family's story never lasted long. One evening, about 3 weeks after the move, Lena received an email from an unfamiliar address. Subject line: "You think you've won." Her heart sank even before she opened it. Inside there was only one sentence: "You can take him across the country, but he'll never stop being mine." There was no signature, but Lena knew exactly who had sent it. She didn't tell David at first. She didn't want to spoil the calm they had built. But that night, as she was brushing her teeth, she noticed her reflection trembling, her hand shaking around the toothbrush. That's when she realized she was living with fear again. A few days later, Ethan came home looking tense. He tossed his backpack onto the floor and muttered, "She found my new school." Lena froze. "What do you mean?" "She called the office pretending to be my aunt. Tried to get them to give her my schedule." Lena's stomach dropped. How did they even believe her? "They didn't," Ethan said bitterly. "The principal called me in and asked if everything was okay." David reported it immediately, attaching the judge's approval for the relocation. The school tightened its privacy policy, but that didn't stop Melissa. A few days later, she posted a long rant on social media, a full public meltdown accusing David and Lena of kidnapping her son. She even tagged their old friends, their old coworkers, anyone who'd listen. And of course, a few people did. Some commented with sympathy for her. Others called her dramatic. But the damage was done. Whispers spread, even in their new town. Lena's coworkers began asking quiet, uncomfortable questions. "Is it true your fiancé's ex is saying you took her son away?" Lena smiled politely, pretending she didn't care. But inside, she felt the walls closing in. One night, David came home late. He looked exhausted, darker under the eyes, a stiffness in his voice. "She called my office," he said flatly. "She told my manager I was under investigation for parental alienation." Lena's jaw dropped. What? He rubbed his forehead. "Luckily, my boss knows the whole story. But this is getting dangerous. She's crossing legal lines now." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was heavy, pulsing with unspoken fear. Finally, Lena whispered, "Do you think she'll ever stop?" David's answer came slowly, almost as if it hurt to say it. "No, I think she's too far gone." But amidst the chaos, something remarkable was happening. Ethan, the quiet, thoughtful boy who used to avoid confrontation, was finding his voice. He started journaling, drawing, running in the mornings before school. He even volunteered to help younger students in his robotics club. One evening, while Lena was setting the table, she overheard him on the phone with his mother. He spoke calmly, his tone steady but firm. "Mom," he said, "I'm not mad at you, but I'm not going to feel guilty for wanting peace." There was a pause. Then she heard shouting from the other side of the line. Ethan sighed and hung up. When he turned, he saw Lena standing there, frozen between pride and heartbreak. "You okay?" she asked softly. He nodded, but his eyes were red. "I just wish she'd stop making me choose." Lena placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're not choosing sides, Ethan. You're choosing sanity." Despite everything, they tried to keep life normal. There were family dinners, movie nights, and lazy Sunday mornings filled with pancakes and laughter. Slowly, laughter began to sound normal again. But then came that night. It was mid-January, a quiet evening. Snow had started to fall outside, blanketing the neighborhood in white. Lena was reading by the fire while David and Ethan were fixing something in the garage. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. A hard, urgent knock. She frowned, setting her book aside. When she opened the door, her breath caught. Standing on the porch was Melissa. Her hair was a mess, her coat half-buttoned, eyes wild. "Where is he?" she hissed. Lena's heart pounded. "Melissa, you can't be here. The court—" "I don't care about the court," she shouted, stepping forward. "You've poisoned him against me. Both of you have." David appeared behind Lena almost instantly. "Melissa, that's enough. You need to leave." But she wasn't listening. Her voice cracked as she yelled, "He was my baby, and you took him." Snowflakes clung to her hair as she trembled, tears freezing on her cheeks. Ethan appeared in the doorway, pale but calm. "Mom," he said quietly, "go home." That broke her. Her voice fell to a whisper. "You're choosing them over me?" "No," he said softly. "I'm choosing peace." David stepped between them as she lunged forward, sobbing. He called the police immediately. They arrived within minutes, escorting Melissa away as she screamed through the falling snow. The neighbors watched from their windows, silhouettes behind curtains. When it was finally over, the street was silent again. But inside the house, nothing felt peaceful anymore. Lena sank into a chair, shaking. David knelt beside her, taking her hand. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never wanted you to go through this." She looked at him, her voice trembling. "I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I didn't think she'd come here. I thought she just wanted attention, not this." The next morning, they filed a restraining order. The judge approved it within hours, citing her pattern of harassment. It gave them legal protection, but emotionally, it didn't erase the fear. Lena began to check the locks twice every night. Ethan refused to walk home alone from school. David installed new security cameras. They told themselves it was temporary, that things would settle. But trauma doesn't fade that easily. Sometimes Lena would wake up in the middle of the night, hearing a car outside, and hold her breath. Sometimes she'd dream of Melissa's voice, that same desperate cry. "You took him from me." And yet, amid the anxiety, something else began to grow. A fierce sense of unity between them. They weren't just a couple and a teenager anymore. They were a family, a team, and no amount of chaos could break that bond. Then came the letter. It arrived in late February, addressed to David with no return name. The handwriting was shaky but unmistakable. "I'm leaving. You won't hear from me again. Tell Ethan I hope he forgives me someday." There was no signature, no address. Nothing else. David called her sister immediately. But she hadn't seen or heard from Melissa in weeks. The police conducted a welfare check, but she had moved out of her apartment. Her phone was disconnected. For the first time in years, there was silence. No messages, no phone calls, no accusations, just silence. It was almost eerie. Ethan barely spoke for days. When Lena finally asked how he was feeling, he said, "I don't know. I should feel relieved. But instead, I just feel empty." She understood. Even when someone hurts you deeply, part of you still mourns what could have been. Months passed. The snow melted, replaced by spring sunlight and green grass. Lena started gardening. David began building a deck in the backyard. Ethan got accepted into an early university robotics program. Life, at last, was beginning to bloom again. Until one afternoon in April, when a familiar name appeared in Lena's inbox. Melissa Carter. Her heart froze. She clicked the message. "I'm in town. I'd like to see my son." No threats, no anger, just a single chilling sentence. Lena stared at the screen for a long time, her pulse thundering. She didn't know whether to tell David right away or to delete it and pretend she never saw it. Part of her hoped it was a trick. Part of her wanted to believe it was a step toward closure. But deep down, she knew better. Melissa never just wanted to talk. Something was coming. Something bigger than any of them expected. And the peace they had fought so hard to build was about to be tested again. Some storms come and go. Others hide in silence, waiting to return stronger than before. But the families who survive them aren't the ones who run. They're the ones who hold on to each other, even when lightning strikes twice. Spring had settled in. Warm breezes, birds on the roof, laughter from the neighbors' yards. It was supposed to be a season of peace. But inside Lena's chest, there was only one feeling: dread. That single message from Melissa had changed everything. After months of silence, she had returned. David read the email over and over, jaw clenched, eyes cold. "She says she's in town," he muttered. "But she doesn't say where." "Maybe she just wants to talk," Lena whispered, though even she didn't believe it. "She never just wants to talk," David replied. They decided not to tell Ethan right away. Not until they knew what Melissa wanted. But deep down, they both knew he would find out soon enough. 2 days later, he did. Lena was driving Ethan home from school when he said quietly, "Mom messaged me." Lena gripped the steering wheel tighter. What did she say? "She wants to meet, just for lunch. Did you answer?" He hesitated. "I said maybe. I didn't want to say no right away." Lena didn't speak for a few seconds. The sound of the tires on the road filled the silence. Finally, she said, You're old enough to decide. But if you go, don't go alone. Let your dad come with you." He nodded slowly, looking out the window. "I don't hate her, you know. I just hate who she becomes when she's angry." Those words broke something inside Lena. How unfair it was for a 16-year-old to have to parent his own parent. The next day, David called Melissa. Her voice was surprisingly calm, almost fragile. "I just want to see my son," she said softly. "That's all. I won't cause trouble." David agreed to meet her at a small cafe in town. Public, safe, neutral. Lena stayed home, pacing the floor until her footsteps felt like echoes of her heartbeat. Hours passed. Then, finally, the sound of the front door opening, David walked in, eyes weary but unreadable. Ethan followed, quiet as a shadow. "Well," Lena asked, "how did it go?" David sat down, exhaling. "She's not the same." "Not the same how?" "She looks thinner, scared even. Said she's been in therapy. She apologized to Ethan." Lena blinked. "Apologized?" Ethan nodded slowly. "She cried a lot. Said she realized she lost everything because she couldn't let go of control." "And do you believe her?" Lena asked. He thought for a moment, then shrugged. "I think she means it, but I also think she doesn't know how to change completely." That night, for the first time, Ethan called her mom without hesitation when he said goodnight. Not because she asked him to, but because he wanted to. Weeks passed. Melissa didn't disappear again. She didn't send angry messages or show up unannounced. Instead, she emailed once a week, short and polite. "Hope Ethan's doing well. Tell him happy birthday. Thank you for letting me see him." Each message was like a fragile peace offering. Small, uncertain, but real. Still, Lena stayed cautious. Sometimes, trauma teaches you that calm can be a disguise. One Sunday afternoon, Ethan asked if Melissa could visit the house. Just for an hour. David hesitated. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" "She promised to be civil," Ethan said. "I think she just wants to see where I live now." After a long silence, David agreed. Lena spent the morning cleaning, though she wasn't sure why. Maybe it was nerves. Maybe it was hope. When the doorbell finally rang, the air itself seemed to pause. Melissa stood there, holding a small box. Her eyes were red, but not from anger, from tears. "Hi," she said softly. "May I come in?" Lena nodded. "Of course." They sat in the living room. The box on Melissa's lap trembled slightly in her hands. "I brought some of his old photos," she said, opening it carefully, "from when he was little." Ethan smiled faintly as he flipped through them. Birthday parties, school plays, missing front teeth. For a while, everything felt human. Then Melissa looked up at Lena. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. "I hated you because I thought you took my place. But the truth is, I gave that place away long before you ever came along." Lena's throat tightened. "You don't owe me anything, Melissa." "Yes, I do," she insisted. "You've been there for my son when I wasn't. You gave him peace. That's something I couldn't." There was no bitterness in her voice, only exhaustion, the kind that comes after years of fighting shadows. After she left, the house felt heavier, but not darker. Ethan stood by the window, watching her car disappear down the road. "Do you think she'll really change?" he asked quietly. Lena wrapped an arm around him. "I think she's trying, and sometimes that's the bravest thing a person can do." Over the next months, their lives began to weave together in ways none of them expected. Melissa started attending therapy sessions consistently, and Ethan began meeting twice a month for lunch. No shouting, no guilt, just small, tentative steps towards something resembling peace. David, for the first time in years, seemed free of that invisible weight pressing down on his shoulders. He'd smile more, joke more, even plan weekend trips again. And Lena, she finally allowed herself to breathe. She started writing essays about grief, love, and the strange ways families rebuild themselves. She even published one in a local magazine titled "The Distance Between Healing and Hate." It went viral online. Thousands of people wrote to her, saying her story gave them hope. When David showed her the comments, tears filled her eyes. Maybe her pain hadn't been wasted after all. One evening, on the anniversary of their move, they sat around a small backyard fire pit. The stars shimmered above, the air thick with the scent of pine and smoke. Ethan poked the fire with a stick. "You know," he said, "if someone told me 2 years ago that we'd all end up okay, I'd have laughed." David chuckled. "Yeah, me too." Lena smiled softly. Life's funny that way. It breaks you, then teaches you how to put yourself back together. There was a pause. Then Ethan said something that made Lena's chest tighten with emotion. "I used to think I had 2 broken families," he said. "But maybe I just had one big messy one that finally learned how to heal." No one spoke after that. There was nothing left to say, only the crackling of the fire and the quiet rhythm of hearts that had finally, after years of chaos, found peace together. Months later, Lena received one final letter. No envelope, no return address, just a card left on the porch, tucked under a small bouquet of wildflowers. It read, "Thank you for taking care of my son, for giving him a life I couldn't. I'm moving away, somewhere quiet, to start again. Please tell him I love him. And that letting go doesn't mean I stopped caring." Lena read it twice, then smiled through her tears. She didn't show it to Ethan right away. She waited until he seemed ready. When she finally did, he looked at the card for a long time, then said simply, "I hope she finds peace too." That night, as Lena turned off the lights and looked out at the stars, she thought back to how it all began. The heartbreak, the fear, the endless fights. And she realized something. Peace isn't about silence or distance. It's about forgiveness, the kind that frees everyone involved, even the ones who hurt you. Love doesn't always arrive in the form we expect. Sometimes it's messy, painful, and full of scars. But when people choose healing over hatred, forgiveness over fear, that's when real family begins. Because in the end, what defines us isn't who hurt us, it's who we became despite it.